Who am I kidding? That's gonna take forever. Much like my experience watching Echo, the TV show based on Marvel Comics, okay, that's a lie very early on, directed by Sydney Freeland, a Native American woman responsible for some bangers, like one episode of Star Wars Brand New World, probably the one with a fucking musical in it, and Her Story, that follows the dating lives of trans and queer women as they navigate the intersections of desire and identity. I'm starting to see a pattern I don't particularly like, that covers every Marvel tick box imaginable except the one you think would be the first one in the creator's mind, being good. Now it could be the pacing, it could be the fact that English viewers don't particularly like to read subtitles and you purposely did a show where everyone has to sign language in order for the main lead to understand anything, even though most deaf people, including the ones without superpowers, can read lips. It could be that the show was chopped down in post-production so hard that it makes Maya's leg accident look like a minor abrasion.
What did he just say?
If that doesn't get me cancelled, nothing will. I also couldn't find how much this show cost, but if I had to guess, I'd say an eye and a leg. But the truth is that this show, much like Blood Origin, is the byproduct of people without that much talent taking a story that had a lot of potential and turning it into a woke nonsense pile of shit that's getting praised by the paid media for having a lot of first, like the first Native American director, the first Native American deaf and amputee actress that just so happened to have no acting experience, and you can tell that by just checking her facial expression range, the first Marvel amputee character turned hero that also killed a lot of people while working for the bad guys. Oh, sorry, that's Bucky Barnes, he's white so he doesn't matter. No, I mean Maya Lopez, one of the few times the cultural identity and heritage of an MCU character is in the forefront of the story. No, guys, you don't get it, she's a woman. I give up. It's pretty much a show that fails to stand in its own 2 feet. Much like Maya, that relied not only in your usual lies, but also in rehashing characters like Kingpin and Daredevil, who's only in one episode to make a fight scene somewhat interesting, in order to elevate the boring-ass female main character, because otherwise no one would even notice her. Much like people who creep up behind Maya. Don't get me wrong, Echo in the comics is cool, she's like a female Taskmaster, even though they already did that, who can mimic or echo people's fighting style and abilities like Daredevil's and Bullseye, and even read lips.
No way!
So people are not forced to accommodate to her by learning ASL, they can freely choose to do so. But that wasn't enough for Marvel, no, they had to change their own story, making it unreleasable to include more girl power and more pandering. But I watched this ridiculous attempt at television so you guys wouldn't have to, even though I don't think many of you intended to, and I'm gonna break down some of the lowlights, cause to be honest, there isn't many of the opposite. Episode 1 is basically a flashback of Maya moving to New York at a very early age, of the events that happened in Hawkeye, a show that I didn't watch, so if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't know who Echo was. So yeah, you kinda need to do some homework for this show to work. So after shooting Kingpin, Maya goes back to her town and we learn how much of a bitch she actually is. Outside the fact she killed a bunch of people for the main baddie, she has everyone helping her right off the bat and saying that they are happy to see her again, to which she returns the favor by holding this expression the entire time. And when she starts trouble with Fisk men to take over his empire, clearly not trying to redeem herself anytime soon. Let me be the first one to say that Queenpin sounds fucking ridiculous. His uncle says it's a bad idea and she will get everyone she cares about hurt, and her reply is, and who's that? I don't know, from a quick glance I would say your cousin, your grandma, your grandpa, your uncle, your other cousin, and your cousin's dog. Everyone who started helping you the moment you set your only foot in Alabama. You see, I know she's meant to be your gritty super anti-hero, your bad girl turned good-ish, or some shit like that. But does making her an absolute bitch supposed to make us like her more? Anyway, she takes a beating from Daredevil and walks it off like nothing. Fisk even tells her no one has been able to stand to him like that, which is crazy because Matt Murdock is a badass. He doesn't hit light. He's the man without fear and hasn't lost that many fights, unless he's fighting a woman. The only thing that somewhat slowed her down was a bullet shot at her somewhere in the limbo of reshoot footage that she carried untreated in her interstate trip to Alabama that she did on a motorbike and later fixed with flaws. Why she went straight for the fishing gear, I don't know. I am pretty sure there was a sewing kit somewhere around. But what really confuses me is how a trained assassin doesn't know better than using dental floss or stitches. The other thing I noticed after episode 1 is that each episode gets progressively shorter, much like Blood Origin, a show that tried to convince you that this was camouflage. I don't know about you, but most shows I've watched that are actually good get progressively longer as their climax approaches. But each episode is named after a different girl boss in Maya's bloodline, starting with her first ancestor, Chaifa, who was a mud alien or something like that, who drank some weird ass Kool-Aid that made all of them turn human and suddenly decided to follow her. Why? Because she called it first. You gotta be quick in this economy, man. Now, what was her power? I have no idea. Probably being thick as fuck, if that statue of her is anything close to accurate. But we go to episode 2 and we meet the second ancestor, who with her tribe are fighting for the control of the land against the Cherokees. So in order to settle who keeps the lands, they decide to play a game of lacrosse. Didn't they used to scalp people back then? Anyways, the Choctaw are winning, thanks to her of course, until the big fucking Cherokee guy comes into play and squares up against the tiny Choctaw woman who tells him, "We are gonna beat you up." The guy's tits are even bigger than hers. He proceeds to start whooping their asses. The funny thing is though, this is a very heavy contact sport. There are dudes constantly bashing against each other, but no one comes near her. And she channels her ancestor and wins the game. How? I don't know. She just does. What was her power? Jumping? We're back with Maya, who's carrying an attack on Fisk. And another thing that didn't make much sense in this show is how she's able to go from hanging on the side of a moving train to being under it, climbing up some metal rungs. And for all of you geniuses who are going to say, "Oh, she's got a harness," clip to them. Clip to them where? Have I mentioned she only has one leg? I think I did. Well, that fake leg gets crushed between the cards, and she frees it with the help of her ancestors. Which ancestor so far has shown to have super strength? Regardless, she immediately does this. And you know what? I'm okay with the Fast and the Furious jump from one moving vehicle to another moving vehicle. It's a superhero show. Who gives a fuck? What I'm not okay with is the fact that Biscuit, that's the name of her cousin by the way, is able to stop the truck like that, going at least 65 miles an hour without spinning like a fucking Beyblade, and the only damage the car suffered was a loose bumper. Is that a fucking train model? Anyway, it turns out that Maya's plan was to blow up one of Fisk's armories to have his men have less guns. I'm pretty sure he has several of those, and I wonder how many innocent immigrants were working in that factory. So episode 3 starts with a silent western, cause fuck audio design, that shit's overrated in 2024, and the ancestor this time is a small cute Choctaw girl who just don't miss, and wants to be a ranger like her daddy. Why can't I be a light horseman? It's in the title.
I'm sorry? I think you mean light horse person?
But she eventually saves her dad and his men from an ambush, cause obviously she does. But the one thing I'll give to this one is that she has a clear set of powers. She's bullseye. She just can't miss. Fast forward to the episode, Maya gets caught. Fisk men arrive to kill her and everyone else. She MacGyvers her way out of being kidnapped, drives a guy through a wall, and proceeds to beat every dude in sight in very elaborate fashion. Did that guy just got knocked out by a jacket? But the bad guy gets her cousin. They are about to be executed, but uh-oh, what's that? How convenient it is that when they are finally pinned down, Deus Ex Machina calls, making all the baddies just leave. Question: why didn't they shoot the uncle or her cousin? Why spare any of them? We know that Kingpin was the one that called. He wants Maya. Why leave the other two alive? Seems like Echo can also echo her plot armor into other people. Episode 4, Fisk is alive.
No way!
And he brings with him an automatic translation device to better understand the chick that shot him in the face. This is a man who chopped a guy's head off with a car door, who beat the absolute living shit out of Daredevil and the Punisher. This guy is bad news. is the most evil man in New York. But now we have Fisk. Because every guy has to be stripped down of any potential aggression, and even bad guys have to provide a safe space for the women in Disney Marvel.
Cookies from the vein. Are they still your favorite?
She shot you in the face. Why are you bringing cookies to her? I don't know which one that was, but she potentially threw an $1,800 bottle of wine down the drain. I fucking hate her.
Wait, you had dinner?
Again, Queen Pin. Sounds fucking ridiculous. And after all of that, we have the final episode. It turns out that Maya's mom had healing abilities, which she showed to her after she almost killed a native bird with a sling. What a prick! How does the power selection work between these women? I don't know. It seems random, but if she was able to heal the bird, why didn't she fix her hearing? Doesn't sound like a very useful power to me, not that Maya could have heard that anyways. But my problem with the randomness of their powers is that in a long enough bloodline with enough generations, and with every woman being able to channel the person that came before them, eventually it would lead to a massively overpowered character that can practically do anything, like an estrogen-filled Peter Petrelli. She already has strength, speed, perfect accuracy, mind control, and apparently a healing factor. It's almost like a ripoff of the Avatar state. The only difference is they were at least decent enough to limit themselves to 4 elements.
Keep your eyes out for Maya Lopez. She's heavily armed and dangerous.
No, she's not. What do you mean? The chick doesn't even use weapons, at least not her own. As long as you keep her away from the hardware store, you're sweet. Just turn off the lights, and she's done. Ah, yes, the suit. Call it tradition, or whatever, but that makes the padded up CGI suit of Moon Knight look like an absolute masterpiece. How is this practical? Remember when I said, in my strong female character video, that Marvel in the latest years has persisted in making their women dress incredibly less sexier than their comic counterparts? Why is this a bad look? This show should have been cancelled, but instead they decided to run with it, unlike Maya. So the Kingpin kidnaps her family. He's finally ready to kill them all, and I'm going to pause here for a second. Apparently Alaqua Cox had a baby after production finish. Congratulations to her. Now, going back to Maya, it's extremely hard to believe in the physical prowess of a character that progressively gets chubbier after every episode, especially when she looked like this in Hawkeye.
Oh my god, you've gotten fat. Come in, come!
I tried way too hard to match the dates to see if she was actually pregnant during main shooting, which apparently wasn't the case because that finished on August 2022 and she announced her pregnancy on May 2023. But because of the extensive reshoots this went through, she would have to go back to filming while she was pregnant or shortly after. Now, of course, this isn't her fault because no amount of training can get rid of baby weight that quickly in any healthy way, and life happens and having your first child is great. No, this is entirely the production fault. Because they made a shit TV show. They wanted extra pandering with their order of female representation. They made a show that Kevin Feige deemed unreleasable, that got chopped down to half as many episodes and forced a potentially pregnant actress to undergo reshoots in her first solo role. All of those are signs of failure, much like Blood Origin, and showcases how the people in charge are so fixated with their own politics to getting an ESG high score and checking all the right boxes that they missed the most important part of making content, the entertainment value. And the end result is your poor main actress looking extra wide in the most unpractical and most pandering superhero suit ever made. She's only missing the crown of feathers for fuck's sake. And having other women next to her who are much smaller doesn't really help. I blame costume design. All those people should be sacrificed to the gods. Oh my god, girl, you look ridiculous. But the fight ends with Maya echoing her powers to her nana and cousin who punch the big burly henchman, and I can't, man, I just can't. She takes down Fisk by tapping into his memories and making him have a big cry over the memories of his abusive father, and he storms off. Just like that. The baddest mofo in several MCU series. Oh yeah, and her family just takes her back. The stone-faced assassin who risked all their lives to gain control of a massive criminal empire, who didn't even apologize for not calling them sooner. The end. Why? Why not just take the tax write-off on this? Who sucked whose dick to make this show happen? The writing was on the wall, the stunts look sloppy, the pacing is slow, the story is stupid. Again, they deviated from the source material in order to appeal to gender, ethnicity, and disabilities. They marketed this as a street-level, gritty Marvel show that didn't bother with multiverses and gave the main character intergenerational power channeling. Why did Daredevil Season 1 work so well? Because it was a good story, with good characters, a compelling villain that raised the stakes, and stayed close enough to the source material. But change all of that to only focus on the main character being a deaf amputee Native American, and what about the story? Is there an arc in this? Why should I care? They wasted some of the best characters. Listen to how defeated Vincent D'Onofrio sounds in this interview.
They nailed it on Echo. You know, as an actor, my job is to, service the story. However the story's written, that's my job to service it. So I just do that.
I feel bad. Vincent is a good actor. He's probably the best Fisk we've had since Michael Clarke Duncan. Rest in peace. And they made him cry to justify the bullshit powers of a superhero no one gives a shit about. This guy chopped another man's head with a car door. Oh, and Daredevil lets her go without reasonable explanation of why. Echo ended up being another MCU mess from a company that keeps throwing shit at the wall hoping something will stick, and who refuses to listen to what the fans are saying, much like Maya would. Lucky for me, Reacher was also airing and served as a good palate cleanser whilst watching this. That is a good show that didn't just get dumped all at once without allowing for early reviews because they were afraid people would mouth it and ruin their opening numbers. I can't wait to hear how many people didn't even finish this shit show. If only Maya could also. But if you watched this far into the video, leave us a like, check out this video next, let me know in the comments down below which is your favorite Marvel anti-hero. And as always, I've been Nacho, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.